that's Matt, and welcome to a very periodic episode of the periodic series Prototype Pictorials. Now, I appreciate it's been a long time since the last one, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Partly a lack of interest in the series and, etc., life got in the way, so forth. This is actually a re-recording because the original recording had some inaccuracies in it, some things that didn't actually work quite well, and I wanted to re-narrate it and re-go over it. So the picture in front of you is something I found when I was doing some research for rail-served warehousing, and that sort of ethos sort of thing. So I can pick out some of the different sort of details, some inspiration, maybe a couple of items of the rolling stock that are the particular interest, or maybe catch-outs and something of note. And I thought it was a good point to go off the same picture and just re-narrate the entire episode. So this is a picture that's come up. It's obviously you can see the screen, you can see the description. It's a 1950s picture of the J.C. Penney warehouse in St. Louis, Missouri. So you can see that we've got two warehouses here, possibly of the same industrial complex, but you've got one which is the J.C. Penney warehouse, and you've got this another one which doesn't actually have any descriptive details on it, and you can see it's all very much, there's big windows, and both of them look to be brick based. So a lot of warehouses originally would have been brick based because brick was a plentiful material to be got hold of. So at this point concrete was available, but for big buildings it wasn't really structural support strong enough for the structure. So obviously you'll have brick buildings, you'll have possibly steel structures inside to all the supports, but most of the exterior is all brick. You can actually see from this picture itself, there's a couple of good details already, so I'll just zoom in here so you can see that there's actually almost like a dividing line on this right hand building between what I could presume are building ages. So these bottom floors were possibly built first, and another 3 floors were built on top with some additions. It could be these 3 are a separate colour as a marketing thing, so that these are actually maybe because there's a sign the one side, and maybe that banding goes all around. It could just be that maybe this bit of the building has been cleaned, and obviously they're working top down, so there's not really much reason to clean above it, but they've probably started here, clean this bit for now, and then they're working their way down. You can also see, for example, the start of air conditioning, because this window on the right here, almost off the picture, actually has an air conditioning unit built over the window, and you can partially see possible entries of that on the J.C. Penney warehouse on this left hand side. Although it's quite in the distance, it's hard to tell. And you can see that there's actually quite a lot of white near the bit, so it might just actually be the wall for some of these where it's on the left, but on the right it's a bit of a different matter. There's not really a lot else you can really say. You can't even see much of the interior because it's so in the distance and it's so dark. But obviously you can also see all the trains in front, and you can actually see quite a wide variety of locomotives and rolling stock here. So we've got what I presume is a DL109 here in nickel plate scheme. So Doyle McCormick, if he ever saw the photo, would probably be quite happy with that one. You've also got a couple of Pennsylvania 6-axle F units. So you've got an A and B, so it's probably an E8 or an E7. And you've got another couple there. You've got a switcher here. Now I can't actually make out what scheme that is. I'm sure there's probably some people in the comments who'll probably point out what scheme it actually is. And you've got another one just to the left of it, which might be the same model unit, just the opposite way around. And I'm pretty sure there was something about a steam engine when I did the original oration, but I can't remember what it was. But you can also see there's a wide variety of rolling stock towards the front and a little bit in the background. So you've got what looks to be a 50-foot steel boxcar in the back there, and then you've got some what looks to be baggage or stowage cars further behind. That one looks like it's got a bit of a arched roof on it, and obviously in the front you've got evidence of more modern steel boxcars mingling in, and newer ones as well. So this looks to be your standard. So is obviously a standard USRA 2-bay hopper. This looks to be a 50-foot double door steel boxcar for the C&O. Obviously you've got your New York Central boxcars there. You've got 2 Missouri Pacific. So that one, interesting, says looks to be ION, and this is on his MP. So this is Missouri Pacific, and that's something else, but it looks very similar in the description. You also got another couple of coal hoppers here. Might even be New Haven, that boxcar. It's really hard to tell because obviously it's only so big a photo, and obviously you got a very obvious New York Central boxcar in the back on the right, and a Santa Fe Route of the El Capitan boxcar just to the left of it. An interesting thing to note here is there's a couple of things you can point out, such as the switch stands as well. You've got these random oil cans located here. You've got lighting here, as well as a attendant doing something to one of the locos, whether that's cleaning, whether that's visual inspection. It's hard to tell. He's actually the only, I presume it's a male, but it's the only person I can actually see in the entire photo. There's not really evidence of any other person in the photo. Possibly a crewman in the nickel plate loco, but there's no real defined sight of any people. The only other thing I can really point out here that's possibly interesting is you've got all this parking here, possibly for staff, and then you've got all these goods trailers for local road delivery or all that sort of stuff, and then you've got some very small buildings in the background. So obviously there's a nice plethora of detail in these pictures. There's some details to pick out, such as the open windows and the ladders and some of the other bits and pieces. But more importantly than that, some of you might sort of be looking at photos like this and sort of going, well, does this still exist? Is there things we can pick up on? And, can I find it in real life? Well, there's very easy things to say about that, and that is that you can go off a few things in the photo to pinpoint it and make it a little bit easier. So the big thing really is you're looking at warehouses behind a lot of railroad tracks. We're not talking 1 or 2 here, we're talking at least, as I said, there looks to be at least 10 different tracks in the photo, possibly more behind the cameraman as well. So you can't really tell that, but you can tell that this is a big thing in St. Louis. There's obviously lots of tracks, so the buildings themselves are quite big as well. And to that end, we'll pull up the map from St. Louis. So obviously this is St. Louis. Obviously it's just standard Google Maps. I'm not doing anything particular. But what I will point out is that you're looking generally for railroad lines. Now you can't really do it unless you zoom in a lot. But as you zoom in a lot, you can sort of see there's some rail activity down here. And there's also some activity around here, more towards the centre. So what I'd probably say is that you'd probably want to try and focus on these rail centres and see if there's anything there. Now, the other thing we can do is, because this is Google Maps, we can actually go and look at satellite view. And if we zoom in, you can see that this area is a rail yard, so could still be subject to the photo, but it's all trees and what looks to be more suburban housing in this sort of area, so it's very likely to be here. And again, we have some more rail here, but again, we're in the same area, it's trees and housing, very unlikely to be that. So the other real big bit of trackage is here, and the big thing is you'd probably be wanting to look for buildings which could represent the buildings in the photo. So conveniently enough, obviously you've got the lines coming in here. This area here looks to be very much in that area. Now the thing is that the tracks are more or less straight. If you refer to this photo, the tracks look to be reasonably straight. Maybe not perfectly in parallel with the building frontages, but roughly the same. So that would pinpoint it as being somewhere between these sections here. There is possibly evidence of a bridge being to the left of this warehouse, obviously because you've got this road going actually gradiating up slightly above the tracks and the building here, which might indicate that there's a bridge just to the left off the picture, or possibly that this picture is slightly cropped slightly to the left. To the right from this side, so it might just be that this is a very small building and it's literally just right behind this. It's hard to tell. So obviously this area is probably the best one. So what we'll do is we'll actually go to globe view, and we can actually go into 3D mode. And would you look at that? These two buildings look very similar to the ones we're actually looking for. So we can actually close off this little right-hand one here. We can actually zoom in, and yep. Those look very much like the pictures we're looking for. So what we can do now is that we can actually pull up Street View. And this bridge very conveniently has Street View. So we can do that. And those are the buildings we're looking for. Now admittedly we zoomed out a little bit here, so I'll see if I can move further closer. So you probably find that the photo was actually taken off this bridge, or at least a previous version of this bridge, and doing the same sort of thing. So we can actually zoom in a little bit more. Obviously, the photo won't be this comparison won't be perfect because we'd be possibly further off to the left if this bridge is the same number of lanes and same sort of dimensions. But if it's been expanded, obviously. So obviously we can do some comparisons. So the water towers, the base of the water towers might still be there. Looking at those two, where the actual water towers themselves have gone, you can see that the top windows of the JCPenney warehouse have all been filled in, which are these little tan sort of coloured squares. There's been some decoration added. And obviously the big thing is the signs disappeared in place of JCPenney. This looks to be an artificial window. It doesn't look realistic to me. Obviously I'd yield to the better experience of historians and people who are aware of the area. Obviously as well, it's been very heavily modified. Obviously the big square windows are in place with these arch ones and some decoration. The corner windows, again, we have corner windows, and they've all been replaced with these faux colonnades cover up. And obviously a lot of the rail served infrastructure has disappeared, so obviously there's a lot more trackage here in the picture, and obviously you don't have this flyover. And obviously you're looking at this building to the right here, you can notice see that there's a couple of things. So the ladder, I think he's still there, but that doorway looks to have been changed and an air conditioning unit's been placed next to it. The set of windows right at the end have been bricked in as well. So that's actually something for modelers, is that if you're looking for a modernisation of a warehouse, bricking up windows is a legitimate thing, and it actually reduces your overhead because you don't have to maintain the glass. It actually improves thermals of the warehouse. So if you're trying to have a sustained warehouse temperature, for example, maybe it's cold storage or something like that, you can brick up windows. It's less maintenance. Maybe it's to do with rigidity as well because you're in the corner. So maybe there's something about that. Who knows? So a lot of this track looks to have disappeared. And obviously there's been a few more bits and pieces added to this roof in the time. So we can see if we can go further back. Now the oldest we've got is 2007. And obviously that's very grainy. So I'll try 2009. Yep, there you go. So 2009 is probably a better one. And obviously you can see, actually you can see differences even in the last couple of years because the aircon unit doesn't look to be there. The rest of the building looks to be there. Yeah, maybe it is because obviously you've got that shadow. And obviously if we refer to the original one again, there's just a white splotch. There's actually no shadow. So yeah, so it looks like the air conditioning unit's been there for a while. Try 2014. And actually see a shadow of the door. So maybe the door is still there, but the aircon unit's there. So just thought that'd be an interesting thing, is that yes, things like this warehouse or these pair of warehouses are still there. Obviously, these have probably been converted to other uses, but yeah, you can sort of see the rail yard's still here, although vastly reduced. This isn't a warehouse anymore, so a lot of the rail served infrastructure for this sort of area has been removed and it's been replaced with this car park. Obviously, you've now got this flyover or elevated roadway, which blocks a lot of the view of these warehouses, and obviously you've got all the modern sort of high volume air conditioning, as well as all these other units which might be to do with UPS generators maybe, or backup generators, possibly, and obviously there's been some modernisation. So I thought this would be a neat trick, a neat look into photographs and pinpointing certain locations. So hopefully this has been of interest, and hopefully I can churn out some more of these in the near future. So that's it from me, and see you later.